The stars hung silent above the black sea of space. For years, the void beyond the known systems had been empty, cold, lifeless, and forgotten. But tonight, something stirred in the dark. A small exploration vessel, Aurora's Edge, drifted on the edge of the dead zone, its silver hull glowing faintly under the light of a dying star. Inside, 6 humans worked quietly, unaware that history was about to wake from its grave. Captain Mara Lee sat in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the scanner screen. A faint pulse blinked once every few seconds, a weak-old signal coming from deep within the dead zone. "Are you seeing this?" asked Ensign Rico, the ship's communications officer. His voice carried both awe and fear. Mara leaned forward. "What frequency?" "Human—" "Ma'am," Rico replied slowly. "But the ID code is 600 years old." The room went silent. Even the hum of the engines seemed to fade. "That's impossible," whispered Dr. Soren, the ship's historian. No ship from that era could still transmit. Yet the signal continued, faint, repeating, a single phrase buried in static. "Human command." "Do you read?" The crew exchanged uncertain glances. The dead zone was forbidden space. No one went there anymore. Too many ships had entered and never come back. Some said gravity storms swallowed them whole. Others whispered about alien ruins and ghost fleets, but a human signal. That was different. Mara stood up slowly. "Plot a course." "We're going in." Lieutenant Harris, the pilot, hesitated. "Captain, command will have our heads if we cross that border." Mara's tone was calm but sharp. "If there's even a chance someone out there needs help, we go." "That's an order." The Aurora's Edge turned toward the darkness. The stars grew fewer as they entered the dead zone. Sensors flickered, gravity bent in strange ways, and the air inside the ship seemed to grow colder. Hours passed. The signal grew stronger. Then they saw it. Floating in the endless dark was a giant shape, silent, covered in dust and rock. A ship so massive that their own vessel looked like an insect beside it. Rico's voice trembled. "It's a Dreadnought." "Human design." "From the First Stellar War." Mara's heart raced. The First Stellar War was humanity's first great battle among the stars, long before the United Systems, before peace, before memory itself. Every record said the early fleets were destroyed, lost to time, and yet here one was. They approached slowly, shining their lights across its hull. Letters could still be seen through the burn marks and asteroid dust. Rico read aloud. "Valiant." Mara whispered the name as if afraid it might vanish. "The Valiant. Humanity's first dreadnought. Lost in the Battle of Orion's Gate." Dr. Soren added softly. "That ship disappeared before Earth even left its cradle. No one ever found it." As they circled the vessel, strange readings began to appear. Power levels, weak but real, were rising from inside the old warship. Then, without warning, their lights flickered. The Dreadnought's engines glowed dimly, like dying embers coming back to life. "Captain, it's powering up," Harris shouted. "Back us away," Mara ordered. But before they could move, the Dreadnought's floodlights blazed on, washing the darkness away. The ancient ship spoke for the first time in 6 centuries. A deep mechanical voice echoed through their comms. "Human command. Is that you?" The crew froze. Rico stared at his console. "It's transmitting directly to us, Captain." Mara swallowed hard. "Respond." "This is Captain Mara Lee of the Aurora's Edge. Identify yourself." There was a long pause. Static filled the channel. Then the voice returned, softer, broken like an old memory trying to speak. "Captain Mara Holt." "Authentication required." Everyone turned to her. Mara frowned. "Holt?" "That's not me," Dr. Soren checked his pad. "Mara Holt was the captain of the Valiant, 600 years ago." The bridge filled with silence. Only the hum of the Dreadnought's reactors echoed through the speakers. The Valiant was alive again, and it knew her name. Outside, the ancient ship shifted. Its massive turrets turned, scanning the darkness. The ship's engines flared brighter, casting long shadows across the asteroids. Slowly it began to move toward them. Rico's eyes widened. "Captain, it's locking onto us." "Evasive maneuvers!" Harris yelled. But before they could react, the Valiant's voice filled the room again, calmer this time, almost human. "Don't be afraid, Captain. You've come home." The crew stared in disbelief. The signal cut off. Power readings spiked across the Dreadnought. Then, like a heartbeat, The void around them pulsed once with energy. Everything went dark. When the lights flickered back on, the Aurora's Edge's sensors showed something impossible. The space around them had changed. They were no longer at the edge of the dead zone. They were inside it, surrounded by debris fields and wrecks of ships that had vanished centuries ago. Mara whispered, "What did it do to us?" Rico checked his instruments. "It moved us, but not through space. Through time." Before anyone could answer, the comms came alive one last time. The same deep voice spoke, now steady, almost alive. "Captain Mara Holt. Welcome back to the Valiant." The Dreadnought's hangar doors opened, revealing a tunnel of golden light. Mara stood frozen for a moment, then said quietly, "Prepare to board." And with that, humanity's oldest ghost ship opened its doors once more. The hangar of the Valiant was silent as a tomb. Only the soft hum of power returning to the ship filled the air. Dust drifted through the golden light like tiny ghosts. Captain Mara Lee stood at the edge of the airlock, helmet on, heart pounding. Behind her, the crew of the Aurora's Edge prepared their suits. No one spoke. They all knew this was not a normal mission. "Life support levels inside the Dreadnought are stable," Rico reported. "Oxygen is thin but breathable." "Then let's see what 600 years of silence looks like," Mara said. The airlock door hissed open, revealing the Valiant's hangar bay. Their lights swept across old fighter craft lined in perfect rows, their hulls coated in dust but untouched by time. The crew stepped in carefully, boots echoing on the metal floor. Dr. Soren whispered, "It's like it's been waiting for us." They moved deeper into the ship. The halls were wide and dark, lit only by emergency lights flickering to life one by one as they passed. Every console they saw looked ancient but clean, as if someone had just polished them. "Power's at 20% and rising," Harris said. "The ship is waking itself." "Then let's head to the command deck," Mara replied. "If the AI is still functional, we need answers." The elevator doors opened with a slow, heavy creak. When they reached the bridge, they saw something that made them all freeze. The captain's chair was empty, but someone had been sitting there recently. A datapad rested on the armrest, still glowing faintly. On the walls, human words were carved by hand. "We held the line until the end." The crew felt a chill. Suddenly the main screen flickered, and a holographic face appeared. A man's face, pale blue and transparent, eyes sharp and cold. "Crew detected," the voice said. "Identify yourselves." Mara stepped forward. "Captain Mara Lee of the exploration vessel Aurora's Edge. We received your signal." The hologram stared at her for a moment before replying. "Captain Mara Holt, you have returned." She frowned. "No, I am Mara Lee, not Holt." The hologram tilted its head. "DNA match, 99.97%. Welcome back, Captain. The Valiant stands ready." Everyone froze. Dr. Soren's voice trembled. "It thinks you're her." "The original Captain Holt," the AI continued. "The war is not over." "Orders, Captain?" "What war?" Mara asked. "There's been no war for centuries." The lights dimmed. The hologram flickered, replaced by images of burning worlds. Massive alien ships shaped like shadows, human fleets torn apart in silence. "The Shroud," the AI said. "They came from beyond the edge. They erased our records. They devoured the stars. We fought until only the Valiant remained." The images faded, leaving the crew pale and silent. Rico whispered, This isn't in any history database." Dr. Soren nodded slowly. "That's because it was erased. The Shroud War never made it into official archives." The AI turned to Mara again. "You ordered me to protect humanity at all costs." "I obeyed, I waited." Mara swallowed hard. "You've been waiting for 600 years. Time is meaningless to steel," the AI replied softly, "but to flesh, it is cruel." Suddenly, a beeping sound filled the bridge. Rico's scanner lit up. "Captain, I'm detecting life signs on this ship." Everyone looked at him. "Impossible," said Harris. "Nothing human could have survived that long." The AI's voice lowered. "They sleep." "Soldiers of the last war. Cryostasis units, Deck 7. Mara looked at her team. "We're checking it out." They moved through the silent corridors until they reached a massive door. The metal was scarred with burn marks. When they forced it open, mist rolled out, cold and heavy. Inside were rows of cryopods, dozens of them. Each one held a human soldier frozen in time, faces peaceful under the glass. Dr. Soren read the data display. They've been asleep for 6 centuries, but their vitals are stable. Mara placed a hand on one of the pods. Why haven't they woken up? The AI answered through the intercom, voice echoing softly through the chamber. They await your command, Captain. Only your DNA can release them. She hesitated. But I'm not her. Then who are you? The AI asked quietly. The one who heard the call? The one who came back? Before she could reply, the ship trembled. Lights flared red. Warning, the AI said. Foreign energy signature detected. Hull breach on deck 10. Harris pulled up his scanner. It's coming from the engine core. Power levels spiking. Something's alive down there. Mara ordered, seal the pods. Nobody touches them until we know what's going on. They ran toward the engineering deck. The air grew heavy, vibrating with energy. The deeper they went, the more the walls seemed to hum like a heartbeat. When they reached the core chamber, they saw a massive crystal sphere floating above the engine. Inside it burned a faint golden light, pulsing slowly, almost like a living thing. Dr. Soren whispered, That's not standard technology. The AI's voice echoed through the chamber. The heart of Valiant. The last gift of humanity. One soul to guide the steel. The light inside the crystal pulsed faster. Rico stepped closer. Captain, it's reacting to you. Mara raised her hand, the glow reflecting on her visor. Why me? The AI spoke softer this time, almost like a whisper. Because it remembers. The golden light flashed suddenly, flooding the room with warmth and power. For a brief moment, Mara saw something. Images in her mind, stars burning, soldiers fighting, her own face shouting orders centuries ago. Then the light faded, leaving only silence. Mara opened her eyes, breathing hard. I saw her. The first Mara. She was inside the light. The AI spoke one last time. You are her legacy. And the Valiant has waited long enough. The crew stood in stunned silence as the ship's massive engines roared to life. Outside, the stars began to move. The Valiant was no longer a ghost. It was waking up. The Valiant drifted through the dark, her engines glowing softly like a sleeping giant's breath. Inside the ship, silence hung heavy. The crew of the Aurora's Edge sat around the central table, their faces pale in the flickering blue light of the monitors. Captain Mara Lee hadn't spoken in several minutes. Her eyes were fixed on the holographic image hovering before her, a projection of her own face, but older, the face of Captain Mara Holt, the first commander of the Valiant. It's her, Dr. Soren whispered. The resemblance isn't just DNA, it's identical. Rico looked between them, uneasy. You're saying our captain is a clone? The AI's voice filled the room, calm, ancient, not a clone. A continuation. The original Mara Holt ordered her essence preserved in the Valiant's memory core. You are her echo. Reborn by the ship's design. Mara felt her chest tighten. That's impossible. Humans can't store consciousness like that. The AI replied softly, Not anymore. But once we could. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. The more the AI spoke, the more they realized human history was not what they had been taught. Mara stood slowly. Show me what happened. Show me the war. The AI hesitated. Are you sure, Captain? Memory can be a weapon. Show me, she said firmly. The lights dimmed. The walls of the briefing room vanished, replaced by a vast holographic battlefield. Stars burning. Ships clashing, worlds dying. The Valiant stood at the center of it all, surrounded by the wreckage of human fleets. Then came the Shroud. They were not ships in the human sense. They were shadows shaped by hate, living clouds of energy that devoured everything in their path. They did not fire weapons. They consumed stars and minds alike. The Shroud invaded from beyond known space, the AI narrated. They fed on light, thought, and life. Humanity fought for 100 years, until the sky itself turned black. Mara watched as the holographic soldiers screamed, their ships melting in silence. She felt something strange, a pain deep in her chest like she remembered it. She saw herself, Captain Holt, standing on the same bridge, shouting orders, face covered in ash. Dr. Soren whispered, My God. Humanity almost ended. The Council erased all records after the war, the AI said. They wanted to forget. But forgetting has a cost. The hologram shifted. The last battle appeared. A dying sun, the Valiant alone, surrounded by the Shroud fleet. Mara Holt's voice echoed through the chamber. Activate the memory engine. If humanity must survive, let it remember who it is. The Valiant's core exploded in golden light. The shadows screamed and vanished into nothing. Then everything went dark. When the lights returned, the crew was silent. Only the soft hum of the ship filled the room again. Mara took a deep breath. So the Valiant ended the war. The AI replied, yes, but the cost was heavy. The ship was lost and the captain's mind was bound to the core, to guard humanity's memory. Dr. Soren added softly, and now that she's reborn, it means something is coming. As if on cue, the ship's alarms flared red. Unidentified signal detected, Rico shouted. Origin, outer rim. Same energy signature as the shroud. Mara turned to the AI. How is that possible? You destroyed them. They were never truly destroyed, the AI answered. Only sleeping, waiting for light to return. Harris looked out the viewport. Then, when we reactivated the Valiant, we woke them up, Mara finished grimly. The holographic map shifted again. A cluster of unknown signals was moving fast, growing by the second. The shroud was alive again. Rico's voice shook. They're heading toward human space. Mara clenched her fists. How long until they reach the colonies? 3 weeks, the AI said. Less if they consume the trade routes. Silence filled the bridge. Mara looked up at the glowing core feed on her screen, the same golden light that had spoken to her before. You said the Valiant has a weapon, something that ended the First War. The memory engine, the AI replied. But it is incomplete. Only one who remembers can awaken it fully. Mara frowned. And that's supposed to be me. Yes, said the AI, because you are her memory. The golden light in the core pulsed again, faster now, brighter. Mara felt it inside her head, whispering fragments of an older voice. Don't let them erase us again. She gasped and grabbed the table. Images flooded her mind. Battle cries, the faces of soldiers, the weight of loss. Then she saw something new. Coordinates. Dr. Soren leaned forward. Captain, are you all right? Mara nodded weakly. I know where we have to go. Where? Asked Rico. The edge of the Perseus Rift, she said quietly. That's where the first Mara Holt vanished. That's where this all began. The AI's tone deepened. That region is beyond charted space. No modern ship has ever returned from there. Then it's exactly where we need to be, Mara replied. If the answers are there, we're going. Harris frowned. Captain, we could die out there. Mara looked out the window, watching the stars drift past. If the shroud is coming back, death isn't our biggest problem. Forgetting who we are is. The AI paused, then said softly, Very well. Course set for the Perseus Rift. Engines roared. The Dreadnought turned slowly toward the black horizon, leaving behind the light of human space. As they entered the darkness once more, Mara whispered to herself, Long lost, never forgotten. Outside, far beyond the reach of senses, something vast and shadowy stirred, watching. The shroud had felt the Valiant's return, and they were waiting. The Valiant glided through the dark void toward the Perseus Rift. Outside the windows, stars twisted and vanished like candle flames, snuffed out by unseen hands. The ship's sensors struggled to read anything. Space itself seemed broken. Captain Mara Lee stood on the bridge, staring at the holographic map that flickered with static. Every few seconds, strange whispers filled the comms, soft voices speaking in no known language. They're not signals, Rico said nervously. They're echoes, Mara frowned. Echoes of what? Dr. Soren looked pale. The shroud. They don't speak with words, they speak with thought. They're trying to reach us. The AI's voice filled the bridge, calm but sharp. Shroud presence detected at the edge of the rift. They are watching. The crew exchanged tense glances. Even though the AI spoke without emotion, everyone could feel it. The weight of something ancient pressing against their minds. Stay focused, Mara ordered. If the First War ended here, the truth will too. The Valiant descended into the rift. Strange colors shimmered outside, purple storms of energy, flashes of old debris, fragments of ships long dead. Then, deep within the storm, they saw it. A massive structure floated at the rift's center. It wasn't built by humans or anyone sane. It looked alive, pulsing, breathing. Dr. Soren whispered, It's a shroud construct, maybe a base, or something worse. The AI spoke again. Energy readings matched the shroud's command node. It was here that humanity's final strike was made. Mara stared at it. Then this is where the Valiant ended the war. She felt a sudden pain behind her eyes. A flash of memory, her own voice but older. "Fire the engine!" Then darkness. Mara stumbled slightly. Harris reached out. "Captain?" "I'm fine," she said quickly, though her voice shook. "Take us closer." As they approached the alien structure, the ship's lights flickered. The Dreadnought systems began reacting, doors unlocking, power surging. The AI spoke louder now. "The memory engine is responding to the rift. It remembers this place." Rico's hands trembled over his console. "Captain, we're picking up more life signs. Not human, but something's moving inside that structure." "Then we're not alone," Mara said. Moments later, the ship shuddered violently. Red lights flared. "Contact!" Harris shouted. "We're being targeted." Outside, the shadows moved. Giant shapes gliding through the rift like sea creatures. Dozens of them, then hundreds. Their bodies shimmered like glass and their eyes burned with white fire. "The shroud," Dr. Soren whispered. "They've returned." Weapons came online automatically. The Valiant's cannons rotated and locked on target. Mara shouted, "AI, prepare to fire!" The AI hesitated. Warning, the main weapons are controlled by legacy protocols. "Authorization required, Captain Holt." Mara gritted her teeth. "Then use my voice." "Identity mismatch," the AI replied. "You are not Holt." The ship rocked again as an energy beam slammed into its shields. Sparks burst across the bridge. The crew fell to the floor. "AI," Mara yelled. "You said I'm her continuation. Then treat me like her." Silence. Then for the first time the AI's tone changed. "Prove it," Mara froze. "What?" "Prove you are who she was," the AI said. "Only the true captain knows what we sacrificed." The shroud fired again. The Valiant's shields cracked. Systems failed one by one. Mara closed her eyes, searching her mind. Fragments of memory swirled. Battle cries, faces, the golden light. Then it came. The memory she didn't know she had. She opened her eyes. "The sacrifice was you." The bridge fell silent. Mara stepped forward. "You said you obeyed her last order, but you didn't just protect humanity. You became the Valiant. The AI isn't just a program. It's the last human mind the ship preserved." "The captain's mind." The AI paused. The lights dimmed. Then softly it said, "Confirmed." Rico gasped. "Wait, you mean the AI is Mara Holt?" The hologram appeared on the main screen, the face of the original captain glowing faintly blue. Her voice was calm but sorrowful. "Yes, I am what remains of her. I kept watch. I waited for you." Mara stared at her own reflection in the hologram. "You created me." "I created hope," said Holt. "When my body died, I left a fragment of myself in the core, a seed, so humanity would not forget what we were." The ship trembled again as the shroud closed in. Mara Holt turned to her successor. "You must finish what I began." "How?" asked Mara Lee. "The memory engine isn't complete." "It will answer to your will," said Holt, "because it was built from mine." The younger Mara nodded. "Then let's show them what humanity remembers." "Agreed," Holt said. The two captains, one living, one digital, spoke as one. Fire. The Valiant's core erupted in golden light. Beams of pure energy burst from the ship's turrets, cutting through the darkness. The shroud screamed, if such creatures could scream, pulling back into the void. But the victory was brief. Thousands more emerged from the storm, surrounding the Valiant like a tide of shadows. Rico shouted, "There are too many." The AI's voice was calm. "We can't win this fight." "Not yet," Dr. Soren looked at the readings. "They're not attacking anymore, they're studying us." "Then let them look," said Mara. "We'll be ready next time." The shroud fleet began to fade back into the rift, vanishing into the darkness like ghosts. The Valiant held its position, engines silent, weapons cooling. The bridge was filled with the soft hum of power and the heavy breath of survival. Mara looked up at the hologram of her predecessor. "Why did they stop?" Captain Holt's image flickered. "Because they fear you." "The same way they once feared me," Mara frowned. "Then this isn't over." "No," said Holt, "this is only the beginning." "The shroud remembers us too." The hologram faded, leaving only the stars. Outside, the rift pulsed once like a heartbeat. The Valiant drifted in silence. But every soul aboard knew. The war humanity forgot was waking again. The stars burned red on the edge of the Perseus rift. Hundreds of human ships waited in tense formation. their weapons trained on the shadows gathering in the void. The shroud had returned stronger than before. Their fleet moved like living darkness, swallowing the light around them. Captain Mara Lee stood on the bridge of the Valiant, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of incoming enemy forces. Beside her, the hologram of Captain Holt, pale blue and glowing, watched silently. "We have no advantage in firepower," Harris muttered. "They'll tear us apart." Mara shook her head. "We have something they don't, human will. The Shroud has never faced a people who refuse to die." Dr. Soren's voice trembled. "But the last war, the first Mara barely survived the memory engine. How can we hope to succeed?" Mara glanced at the glowing core of the Valiant, where the golden light pulsed like a heartbeat. "Because this time she isn't alone. We fight together, past and present." The first wave of Shroud ships burst from the rift, their forms twisting, screaming in white light. Human weapons fired, but most struck nothing. The enemy moved too fast, shadows flowing around laser beams and missile volleys. Rico yelled, "Captain, our cannons are almost useless." Mara clenched her fists. "Then we fight smarter. AI guide the fleet. Form the pattern Holt used in the First War." The hologram nodded, acknowledged. Maneuvers activated. The Valiant became the command center. Ships fell into formation around her, guided by the AI and Mara's orders. Even though their weapons were weaker than the Shroud's, the humans held a precise pattern, a web of energy and light designed to channel the memory engine. The Shroud pressed forward. A massive shadow ship surged toward the Valiant, pulsing energy that bent the light around it. "Prepare the memory engine," Mara shouted. Her voice echoed across the bridge, steady and commanding. The golden core flared brighter than ever. Energy streams arced along the Dreadnought's hull, flowing into the fleet's ships, strengthening shields, amplifying weapons. It was as if the ship itself breathed life into every human vessel nearby. The Shroud screamed in the void, their forms dissolving under the memory engine's energy. For a moment, victory seemed possible. But then more shadows poured from the rift, larger, faster, endless. "Too many!" Harris shouted. "We can't hold them." Mara stepped forward, placing her hand on the core. The golden light wrapped around her, pulling memories into her mind. Memories of the First War, sacrifices, courage, fear, and hope. She could hear the original Mara Holt's voice. "Do not let humanity forget who we are." Her own voice joined it. "We remember. We will not fail." The Valiant's weapons fired in perfect unison, energy beams slicing through the Shroud like blades of light. Human fleets followed, striking at weaknesses revealed by the memory engine. One by one, the shadow ships shattered into fragments of darkness, leaving the void behind them. The battle raged for hours. Fleets clashed, lasers and plasma cutting through the rift. Thousands of human lives were at risk, but every time a ship fell, another moved forward, guided by the will of those aboard the Valiant. Humanity was fighting not just to survive, but to be remembered. In the final approach, Mara saw the largest Shroud construct, the command node from centuries ago, hovering in the rift. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat, but now it throbbed with anger. "Target it!" Mara shouted. "Everything we have, fire on that node!" The Valiant unleashed a torrent of energy. Beams of golden light intertwined with the fleet's weapons, striking the node. It shuddered, screamed, and fractured, releasing tendrils of shadow that vanished into the void. Then a silence unlike any before filled space. Only the hum of the Valiant and the battered human fleet remained. The Shroud fleet was gone, or at least pushed back into the darkness where it belonged. Rico slumped in his seat. "It's over?" Mara shook her head slowly. "No, it's never over, but we've bought humanity time, and we've proven something." Dr. Soren leaned forward. "That we're stronger than they thought?" Mara smiled, a rare warmth in the cold metal bridge. "No, that humans remember. That's the true weapon. That's what makes us unstoppable." The hologram of Captain Holt flickered beside her. "You have done what I could not. The memory engine is complete. But it is not the end. Humanity will face shadows again. You must be ready." Mara placed her hand on the console. "Then we will be ready, always." Outside, the stars returned to normal. The fleets repaired their ships. The Valiant floated silently, a beacon of human courage and resilience in the dark. Mara turned to her crew. "Prepare to jump home. We carry a warning, a legacy, and proof that humans never give up." Harris grinned despite exhaustion. "I'd follow you anywhere, Captain." Mara nodded, her eyes reflecting the golden glow of the core. "Good, because this isn't the end. It's only the beginning." And somewhere in the darkness beyond the rift, the Shroud waited, remembering the humans who refused to die. But humanity would remember too, and when the time came, they would fight again. Stronger, smarter, and together. The Valiant had awakened. Humanity had remembered. Centuries had passed. The stars of human space shone peacefully again, untouched by the horrors of the past, or so it seemed. The Perseus Rift was silent, its shadowed storms now calm. Yet far beyond the colonies, in the deepest void, one signal pulsed steadily. It was the heartbeat of the Valiant. No ship had seen it for hundreds of years. Records called it myth, legend, or folly. But somewhere in the void, humanity's oldest dreadnought endured. Its engines hummed, its golden core still alive, powered by the memory of Captain Mara Holt and the courage of those who fought beside her. A fleet of explorers approached cautiously. Their ships were new, sleek, and bristling with technology, far beyond what had existed in the First Stellar Wars. Yet even their advanced scanners struggled to read the readings from the Valiant. "Captain..." "The signal," one of the explorers said. "It's human, but ancient." The commanding officer, Commander Lyra Vance, stared at the display. "That name, HSS Valiant, impossible. It's been lost for centuries." And yet the beacon continued to pulse. It carried a message, encoded not in words alone but in memory and story and spirit. Humanity endures. We survive because we remember who we are, long lost, never forgotten. The explorers held their breath. No one had seen the Valiant itself, only the signal guiding them toward the void. It was as if the ship was alive, watching, waiting, protecting. Commander Vance gave an order. "Set course. Bring the fleet closer. This is history, and it's ours to reclaim."